Welcome and a very good evening. You're watching Breaking Ground and I'm Siddharth Talia. Let's take you through a developing story from our neighboring country in Pakistan, where the situation is growing from bad to worse. A homegrown terror network is now coming back to haunt the Shahbaz Sharif government. On the 30th of January, over 100 people were killed and nearly 225 people were wounded in a blast in a Shia mosque, making it one of the deadliest terror attacks in the country in recent history. And today, a mosque was desecrated in Pakistan's financial capital of Karachi, allegedly by far-right extremist political party members Tehreek-e-Labbaik. Now, videos of the desecration show 4 men covering their faces and wearing helmets, climbing onto the mosque and escaping thereafter. This is the 5th mosque of the Ahmadiyya sect to be desecrated in Pakistan over the last 3 months alone.
The recent attack on Ahmadiyya Mosque in Karachi today is yet another example from which the Indian Muslims should learn that they are better off than any other Muslim in any other country. And the people who believe that there is something like pure Islam should also realize that those people who try to sell the idea of pure Islam is basically a jihadi idea where none can live together. India may be the only country when every possible sect of Muslims is living together. They are not fighting against each other, not killing each other. This is the lesson that should bring home the fact that this myth of Ummah remains a myth. It's better to live together with every community possible, and that's the lesson that should be learned. And it's a lesson that the self-destruct Pakistan will have to learn at its own cost.
Now, Pakistan on many occasions has tried to preach India on human rights and also the security of the Muslim population living within our boundaries. Top leaders of the Pakistan government had once told India that Muslims are being deprived of their rights to education and also claimed that Indian society is declining under the Modi government. Today, Pakistan is getting a reality check from within. Remember that Pakistan's own Defence Minister, Mr. Khwaja Asif, had also raised the alarm bells in the National Assembly following the Peshawar mosque attack and said that it's about time that the country wakes up and smells the coffee and decides to introspect.
मैं फिर कहूंगा कि नमाजियों के ऊपर मस्जिद के अंदर इबादत के वक्त जो है कत्ले आम जो है ना हिंदुस्तान में होता है ना इजराइल में होता है जो दुश्मन है हमारे, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में होता है जहां पे जितने फिरके हैं उतनी दीनी जमातें हैं और वो सियासत में हिस्सा लेती हैं. हम सियासतदान भी कभी कभी कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं कि किनु किनु खुश रखिए. मैं किसी की दिलादारी नहीं करना चाहता, लेकिन ये हकीकतें हैं. इसको जब तक कौम जो है वो फेस नहीं करेगी, ये मरहला एक ऐसा मरहला है कि यहां पे इंट्रोस्पेक्शन की जरूरत है. हमें अपने गिरेबान में झांकना पड़ेगा कि हम कहां पे खड़े हैं. जनाब स्पीकर, सारी कौम को मुत्तहिद होना चाहिए दहशतगर्दी के खिलाफ, फिर दहशतगर्दी का मुकाबला होगा.
Right, so let's take this across to our guests. Dr. Saeed Elahi joins us. He's a Pakistani political analyst, as does Mr. Sushil Pandit, activist as well. Mr. Elahi, Dr. Elahi, in fact, coming to you, what's really happening in Pakistan, sir? We had that extremely horrible attack on a Shia mosque in Peshawar where almost 100 people died. And then subsequently, we're seeing another incident come to light where an Ahmadiyya mosque has been desecrated by some miscreants. So does this not raise serious questions about minorities within the fold of Islam? In fact, Ahmadiyyas are also not considered Muslims in Pakistan. So give us a perspective on what's happening in your country.
Thank you very much for joining me. First of all, as you said in Peshawar, it was not a Shia mosque, it was a Sunni mosque.
Okay.
So that is just for correction.
All right.
And many people have been killed due to a blast. And you must have gone through the details given in media and other way. I think in Pakistan has been facing terrorism from 40 years since Afghan war started, and being the frontline state against the war, we have to suffer from these casualties, bomb blasts and terrorism. And last few years it was in decline, but now because the TTP was based in the neighboring country and they were putting on some demands which were rejected. But now the strange thing has happened that the TTP has also withdrawn and declined the claim of involvement in the bomb blast at mosque. And no other group has taken a responsibility. As you were mentioning about Khaja Asif, for few things, he was correct. That these things are happening in Pakistan, and they are basically the result of what was happening in our neighboring country, and for not for now, from 40 years. And Pakistan was fighting against terrorism. More than 70 out 80,000 people have died in war against terrorism, including police, army, civil people, and even some other agencies. So it is not that Pakistan was involved in terrorism. Pakistan was victim of terrorism, and we are trying to hit back toughly to a terrorist. Even yesterday, the Prime Minister and the Interior Minister have pledged to take severe action against terrorists, whoever are involved. And I would also like to request you at this occasion, because you have chosen a very sensitive issue, because it is happening in Pakistan from last many years. Sometimes the wave comes and sometimes it slows down. And it depends on how the terrorists are being treated by government. If they are treated harshly, they become harsh with Pakistani people and even the country.
Okay, let me take this across. Right. A point taken, sir. Let me take this across to Mr. Sushil Pandit as well. He's also been listening patiently. Mr. Pandit, how do you read the situation in Pakistan? On the one hand, there is a very desperate economic situation that the country faces. It's been on the verge of bankruptcy for quite some time. And secondly, there's an escalation as far as national security goes. There's been a serious deterioration in terms of the internal security scenario with a spate of terror attacks. What's your reading of the situation currently in Pakistan?
Thank you for having me on the show. Let me also correct your first guest when he says that Pakistan has been facing terror since the last 40 years, ever since they joined the war in Afghanistan. They are not facing terror, they are manufacturing terrorists and jihadis. There is a network of 13,000 Islamic madrasas in Pakistan, which are jihadi manufacturing factories. These mujahids were supplied for the Afghan war. So they were not facing terror, they were producing terror. And they were supplying this terror against the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan earlier. And when they started eyeing Kashmir and Punjab, they started diverting some of those resources towards us because they were flush with funds and guns, and their allies chose to turn a blind eye to this pilfering of jihadi factories which were ostensibly for Afghanistan, but were diverted towards India in Kashmir and Punjab.
Okay.
Now, chickens have come home to roost. You'd seen years ago, Army public school blast, which took 150 lives of children of armed forces. This blast 10 days back in Peshawar took toll of the policemen's lives, who are up against now the same terror that they engendered.
Yes, Mr. Pandit. An extremely dire situation, like you rightly said, and Pakistan has a lot of introspection to do, like Mr. Khaja Asif himself had stated. Mr. Elahi as well as Mr. Pandit, thank you for joining us. We have to slip into a short break for now. We'll come back with a lot more on the other side.